The National Defense Authorization Act is one of the essential pieces of legislation the Senate considers every year. This is legislation, obviously, that authorizes funding for our troops and the equipment and the support they need to carry out their mission. This is legislation that, along with the funding that follows in the appropriations bills, puts muscle behind America's most important strategic objectives across the globe. And yet, under the Democratic majority, this bill has basically languished since last summer. About 6 months. 6 months have lapsed since the Armed Services Committee first reported the bill out of committee. Now, with just days to go before Christmas, after wasting valuable time ramming through political appointee after political appointee, the majority wants to rush this crucial legislation through without the debate that it deserves. They want to push it through the Senate without even giving the minority the ability to offer more than a single amendment, just one. Just to give you some perspective, 381 amendments were proposed to this bill last year. We agreed on 142 of them. The year before that, hundreds were again proposed and many were agreed to. That's the way the Senate used to operate. And keep in mind that all of this follows right on the heels of the Democratic nuclear power grab just a few weeks back. So this is what's become of the Senate under the current Democratic majority. Rules and traditions of the Senate that have served us well for years are broken or ignored in the interest of a short-term power grab. And some of the most important legislation that we consider as a body is rushed through at the last minute without any real opportunity for debate or amendment. As some have suggested, the Senate has become a lot like the House under the current Democratic leadership. From the standpoint of the minority, it's actually a lot worse. Committee chairmen have been cut out of the process. Senators who thought they'd have an opportunity to legislate have been told they're basically irrelevant, and evidently, so are the rules. Senate rules are now just optional to Washington Democrats. As the Obamacare mandates they decide they don't like, the Senate rules are just as optional as the Obamacare mandates they decide they don't like. All of which obviously makes a mockery of our institutions and our laws. And all of which suggests that this is a majority that has zero confidence in its own ideas. This is a majority that can't allow the minority to have a meaningful say when it comes to nominees. This is a majority that won't allow members to offer amendments when it counts. Why? Well, because of a fear that the minority might actually win the argument and carry the day. And that's exactly what we're seeing with the NDAA. Now, the majority leader won't allow a robust amendment process because he can't stomach a vote on Iran sanctions. He knows the administration would lose that vote decisively. And he knows that many members of his own caucus would vote alongside Republicans to strengthen those sanctions. So rather than allow a Democratic vote that might embarrass the administration, the majority leader simply won't permit that vote to happen. Here's another consequence. By denying the Senate the ability to legislate, debate, and amend the National Defense Authorization Act, the Defense Appropriations Act, and additional Iran sanctions, and by refusing the Senate the ability to vote on authorization for the use of force against Syria, the majority leader has abdicated this chamber's constitutional role in shaping and overseeing national security policy. Without considering these matters, the Senate has been unable to address the programs, policies, and weapon systems necessary to make the president's strategic pivot to the Asia-Pacific theater real. Are the programs in place adequate to address China's aggressive encroachment upon the territorial and navigational rights of other nations in the region? Through defense legislation, we have considered the necessary trade-offs to fund adequate force structure. Have we done that? Can we execute this pivot and maintain adequate force structure in the Persian Gulf and the Mediterranean? We won't have any of that debate Madam President. No debate at all. We've been denied the opportunity to consider additional Iran sanctions, despite the assertions of the administration that it has worked with Congress to craft the current sanctions regime. Each time sanctions have been enacted during the Obama administration, these bills have basically been forced upon the president. He didn't want any of them. Despite the fact that the administration concedes that sanctions have brought the Iranians to the negotiating table, it is actively working to forestall additional sanctions tied to the verification of the interim agreement. The Senate should not be denied a vote concerning Iran. The president retains the power to veto anything we pass. What are our policies for preventing the ungoverned portions of Syria from becoming a terrorist safe haven? Unfortunately, we will not be having that debate this session of Congress. What is our policy for capturing, interrogating, and detaining terrorists? And if we had a coherent policy, would it survive after we draw down our forces in Afghanistan? We'll not have a chance to have that debate either. This is not simply a matter of denying the minority a voice in shaping foreign policy. It's an erosion of the Senate's responsibility. We've given President Obama a free rein in shaping these matters, and our allies in Asia and the Arab world are now questioning our commitment to remaining forward deployed and combat ready.